Hey guys, so this is going to be a tutorial about how I do my UGC. It's not going to be super intensive, it's just going to be me chatting over a stream that I did a little bit ago. Yeah, so I hope this is helpful and enjoy. So generally how I start is I take the texture from the game that it makes for you, and then I lower the saturation. I change the dimensions if I want to work on a bigger canvas or whatever, and I overlay the templates that I made that help out with lining stuff up. I made these super, hopefully helpful templates for people to use. Yeah. So yeah, once I got all that set up, I start drawing these black lines. So with the template I have, I make sure that I'm lining up the edges, making sure that everything is clean, looking nice, looking good, and I kind of get the base idea of how I want the outfit to go here. This is like the sketch phase. So I kind of think about what colors I'm going to be using later, how many layers of clothing it's going to be, what other fun things that I'm going to have on this outfit, and I kind of just all plan it out here. So when I go about trying to think of some ideas, I generally use a lot of reference of like real life clothes or cool characters from games and shows and stuff, but what this part really helps you do is kind of get a good sense of where everything's going to be and like the colors and what you're going to have to do for the rest of the outfit. So you can see I'm like being pretty critical looking at the model that's in game to see like if this is going to stretch when the character moves too much, or if this is going to look good from all angles. So one of the things about 3D is that, especially in a game, the models and textures that you're using are going to be seen from all angles. What I'm going to do is, now that I'm done, I'm going to take all those layers that I just made, the liner layers, and I'm just going to put them in a folder on the side, so that's my base. It doesn't have to be super solid right now, you can totally change it later, but it's just kind of a base idea of what you're going to have. So after I have that done, I'm going to make a new layer, and I'm going to start putting in the colors. So what I do is I just have a new layer and I trace over the lines that I just made. You can totally just like copy paste them from your line art layer, but sometimes I just like to go over them and make my time even worse. But the main thing that I do this for is so I can get a base outline of the color, so when I'm painting later I can have like a nice little border edge. But also so I can keep things organized based on the article of clothing or the color that I'm using. So what I'm doing right now is the coat layer, so I'm making sure that I'm only tracing over the lines that are going to be the coat. And when I finish putting all those lines in and tracing over the lines that I just did, I will put another layer underneath it and color in the color that I kind of want for the outfit. As you can see, I'm kind of using a reference of one of my other outfits that I made because I kind of wanted to make it a little bit matching. Because I like making matching outfits, that's fun, so you can wear it with your friend. But yeah, so when I have that all done, I have both of those layers done. I will merge them together and label it my coat layer. And then I'll move on to the next article of clothing. So like my shirt, I'll do the same thing. I'll outline the shirt, put on the base color underneath that layer, and then merge them together and couple that my shirt layer. I like to keep things kind of on the same layer if it's like a shirt or a coat or a skirt, and I put them in order of like how you would actually put on a piece of clothing. So like the coat obviously goes on top and the shirt goes underneath the coat, and if the skirt is there and you can't see it because the coat's blocking it, you put that underneath the layer of the coat and the shirt. So that's how I organize my layers. So now that we have all that ready, we got our lines and our colors merged together on the same layer, I take a nice brush and I start blending in all of the edges. So this is a really hard part to kind of explain how I do this, but I just kind of think about how the clothing would look on a person. So as you can see with the collar and the little flaps, there's obviously going to be shadows around it because that's how lighting would work. When you see the shadows hitting the collar, you wouldn't really see a bright light underneath of the collar. With the sleeves as well, with these little cuffs, you would have like a little bit of a dark shadow on it. If there's any folds or ruffles or anything, you'd put that there too. So you just kind of put in the shadow and the lighting for all of your designs. So I am going to add highlights onto these straps here. So how I do it, pretty simply, is I just put a darker color around the edges, where the shadow would be, and highlight in the middle so it looks way more glossy, way more shiny, so the highlight is a lighter color in the middle. So how you really want to go about thinking how you're shading your pieces of clothing is think about it a little bit realistically. So a piece of silk is going to be obviously way more shiny than a piece of cotton is, while like gold is going to be super shiny and reflective compared to a piece of cloth. So when you think about how you're going to start shading your designs, really take into account the kind of textures and materials that you're using that would actually be made out of. Now for the fun bit. I really like drawing gold. It's so much fun. I really like how shiny and reflective it is, and it's really simple to do. So as you can see, I didn't print these designs like these little swirls and laces and edges in the original black lines that I did because I didn't really need to go into it, and this was going to be on the top layer anyways. So it's really good to plan out what you're going to do, but even if you don't have a full idea, you can totally just experiment after. So I am putting these little gold accents around the outfit, so the lines and the edges, and I'm making sure they all line up on the actual model in game. You can see I'm like looking around a whole bunch with the model up in the corner. So yeah, I'm using a lot of reference from my other design that I was using. I even like copy and paste some of the designs and the layers that I had from that original one. It's totally okay to use reuse and stuff, right? So especially if you're trying to make a matching design or something similar. So here's like a little quick tutorial on how to make gold, at least how I make gold seem shiny. So I start with a really dark color of gold. So gold is like a whole bunch of different types of colors, but I'm just going to start with like a dark orange, right? And I'm going to take a lighter color, like a nice bright yellow, the one that you would think when you think of gold, and then just go over parts that you think would be reflective, some shiny. It's totally haphazard sometimes, but things that would like be closer to the camera, so like the middles of straps or the middle of the collar and stuff like that would be a little bit shinier than something that would be like behind your hair or something. So you just take that lighter color, you kind of go around and put in the highlights of gold. Then you go back with another dark color or just something so you can keep it a little bit fresh and different. And put in the shadows of where the gold would be. So when the gold is overlaying with another part of the gold, you make sure that one of them is darker because it looks like they're going over top of each other. So like the straps on the cuffs is going over top of the cuff itself, so you put a little bit of a shadow between those. Or where the collar is, you put a little bit of a shadow there too. And the last things that I would do is I would take a really bright color and just go over it and put in some slashes, so it kind of look like the light is super reflecting off of that area. After I have all those, I don't put too many in because it gets a little bit excessive after a while, but after I put that, I put in a little bit of shadows because I kind of think that the gold lining is obviously sewn into the coat, so it's kind of three-dimensional. So you put in some shadows around it. I'm adding some buttons too, copying and pasting some buttons so it looks nice. Yeah. I think it looks pretty good. At least so far. We got a lot more to do, but we're doing pretty good so far. One of the last things that I do is I add in these little highlights. So I kind of just go over the areas that I think need a little bit more touch up and I put in some highlights, maybe some gradation, some lighter colors, some shadows, just to give it a little bit more dimension. So what you really want to do is make sure that this thing looks 3D. It doesn't just look like a piece of paper, a picture that you just pasted onto a 3D model, right? So yeah, in the end I kind of just get that all good, I take a nice look at it, and I think I'm about done here. It looks pretty nice, I think so. I did this in about, I think, an hour, 2 hour stream? Hour and a half. I'm gonna say hour and a half. Split the difference. Yeah. So that's my outfit that I did. A little bit of a tutorial. I know some people were asking for tutorials, and I don't know if this is super helpful, but if you guys ever want to check out some more tutorials and stuff, I stream most of the outfits that I make, so you can check that out at twitch.tv/fadingjade. Yeah. And you can ask questions. Totally ask a whole bunch of questions. I love answering, because 3D is kind of what I do. So yeah. Hope this video was helpful, and I can't wait to see all the awesome outfits that people make. It's going to be so much fun when the game goes live. So, I'll see you then.